This is an extract from the Leader podcast by the Evening Standard, hosted by me, David Marsland. To hear the whole thing, search for us on your podcast provider. It was a blast of such magnitude it was heard 100 miles away, a 3 kiloton explosion that caused devastation in Beirut. On the ground, rescuers have been pulling survivors out of the rubble, but the death toll is still climbing. Meanwhile, the cause appears to be being narrowed down to a welder working at a warehouse at the city's port, where 2,750 tons of highly explosive ammonium nitrate were being stored. The country has declared 3 days of mourning. From there, I'm now joined by journalist Nada Homsi. And Nada, what's happening?
The situation now is a little bit calmer than yesterday. Obviously, the cleanup process has begun. We've been hearing the sounds of cleanup. It's pretty ubiquitous in Beirut right now. The sound of sirens, the sound of glass being cleaned up and shattering, the sound of rubble being, pushed aside. And there's still over 100 people missing. So right now they're just trying to pull the dead out of the rubble and look for the missing people.
There must be an urgency to find out exactly what's happened here, Nada. We understand here in the UK that they're looking at a welder possibly igniting the explosion.
Yeah. We still don't know what happened for sure, but that's what's being said, that it was possibly a welder that caught a building on fire. And we think that warehouse caught another warehouse on fire, and that's the warehouse that had the ammonium nitrate.
But Nada, that must be pretty scary for people if an explosion like that can come out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. The Prime Minister yesterday said on live TV that the materials in that warehouse had been there since 2014 and that they'd been unsecured. So it's initial investigations already seem to be pointing towards just negligence and mismanagement, which it sort of feels a little bit like, in addition to a financial crisis, an economic crisis, hyperinflation, a dollar shortage, the pandemic, poverty rate is over 50% already. So in addition to this, the explosion just seems like Lebanon is trying to commit suicide at this point. It's destroying itself from the inside out.
Are people angry?
Yeah, people are angry. There was a protest this morning in front of the Electricité du Liban, which is the government electricity company. If there's any truth to it, and it is really negligence and mismanagement, I think that people are going to be a lot angrier once that's proven. Already, as you know, since October 17, we've been experiencing a mass of protests that have sort of petered out, but they keep coming back every once in a while. So they're very sporadic protests, but people are very, very angry and don't know what to do about it.
Thank you, Nada. Well, an enormous recovery operation is also underway. Save the Children's Ahmud Bayrum joins me now. Ahmud, it was an enormous explosion. Any rescue effort must be incredibly difficult.
It is indeed. It is. I mean, this is the day after the blast. The aftermath is a shock. Everyone is trying to take it in. Personally, I live a few kilometers away from the scene, but I can tell you that it felt like it was right at my doorstep. I thought it was an earthquake, to be honest. There's no sound. At first, there's something shaking beneath you. And then there was a little bang. Afterwards, you start to hear people screaming, windows crashing. And then came the big blast, which I mean, for me, I still can't recall what my reaction was, except for, try to make sure that everyone in the house was okay. I live on top of the building. I just wanted to make sure that everything was okay. Everything is intact. I was of the lucky few, but I know that for the little girl or little boy who are, a few hundred meters away from the scene, I can't imagine what it was like seeing, doors, falling over your head, windows getting smashed on the, it's crazy. And this is that split second which leaves you, wondering what is going on.
And how is that rescue operation being conducted? What are you having to do?
We are, of course, for now waiting for for bodies, for example, to be pulled out from under the rubble, for the full count of the casualties. And then after that, our role will come to assess the needs and move on to the next stage of, the beginning, the very, very beginning of recovery. I would invite everyone who has seen these images to go out and donate, go and contribute. It's I can't. I mean, we're sitting here talking about an issue while families, children are out there trying to find their loved ones. There are children who are now unfortunately inhaling toxic gas in Lebanon. I mentioned that the authorities are calling on everyone to stay indoors. But these children are staying indoors, but they are still inhaling these toxicities because they have now no doors, no windows, nothing. Many of them have spent a night in the open. So really, it's a disaster on a national scale. And honestly, organizations like Save the Children are trying to provide hope. We are, trying to alleviate this struggle for the thousands of families and their children in Lebanon, and particularly in Beirut.